Hello and welcome to In Conversation. This is my second In Conversation with Jaswant Singh in a space of 10 months. Why? 10 months ago, he was expelled from the party. And now he has been welcomed back with open arms. What has happened in these 10 months is what the conversation with Jaswant will be about. And not just that, we shall have him discuss various issues close to him. For instance, he's been writing books. Let us see what books has he been working on. Are they going to be as controversial as the Jinnah book was? Let us take a look at what Jaswant said to me then. What is there about Jinnah that bothers them? If Jinnah is demonized, everybody is comfortable. This comfort level with a demonization of Jinnah, how do you explain that?
I can't follow it at all. Are we demonizing Jinnah or are we demonizing Muslims? That is a question that troubles me, which is one of the questions that led me to write this book. Equally, in Pakistan, the demonization of Gandhi, Nehru, and the Hindu being called certain names in Pakistan is a cowardly something or the other. Is it that the two countries are so unsure of themselves that they need to create artificial enemies to support mutual enmity and hatred?
Jaswant, welcome. That is true, Jaswant. This is what you said then. But what really, after all, even Advani ji, when he went there, he came back. He had said nothing that was uncalled for, nothing that was out of sync with what you later wrote in your book. And yet, there was this huge uproar in the party. Why is the party so negative on a theme as...
I don't know, frankly. I don't know the answer to this question. And I don't know whether the approach was about my book per se, or was it something that I said in any of the interviews. It's difficult for me to say because I don't think there was or is clarity on that. I would much rather now put that behind me. In a collection of human beings, people, incidents do occur, not all of them always explainable, and they've occurred in the histories of the democratic movements of most democracies. It's very difficult occasionally to explain every incident in rational or intelligible terms.
Well, I suppose you can write another book explaining why writing a book on Jinnah was a tactical mistake at that stage.
I don't know if it was a tactical mistake, because I don't think a study of history, as a student, I am a lay student. I'm not a historian by education or even trained as such or preference, but I'm consumed by an inquiry about my own land and its people. That remains, it's a passion. And that leads you into, that inquiry leads you into all kinds of investigations into what has been.
You know, after all, let's face it, the BJP, the party, it must have been too much of a habit for you to give up for good.
It's not habit so much. There are certain political organizations that you naturally belong to. A political organization is not a tailor-made shirt. This is a tailor-made bush shirt. But even this bush shirt, perhaps the collar is not absolutely right, or the sleeve is not right. Political parties are not tailor-made to fit you in every sense. Individuals must have views in a political organization, and it is not the individual's views that count, it's the opinion and the view of the majority uniformly held that must prevail. That is the essence of working in a group. I came to BJP not as a natural Jinnah Sangh person or RSS person. I've explained how after I left the army, it takes me back to the 4th general election. I remained independent until the Janata Party was formed. Janata Party was the first party I joined.
You would have been comfortable with something like the Swatantra Party.
Oh, I was asked, I was invited by late Rajmata Gayatri Devi. She asked me, I was a soldier, had come from, and even though I say it, I don't know how else to say it. I used to play a good deal of polo. I had been to Windsor, to Ascot. I had met late His Highness Maharaj of Jaipur then.
Mansingh.
Yes, and she said, why don't you? She, of course, first said I shouldn't leave the army, which was kind of her. Then she said, why don't you come to the Swatantra Party? And I'm sorry, Your Highness, I can't join the Swatantra Party. And she said, why not? Why can't you? She was slightly put off, I replied. And I said, I'm sorry, Your Highness, there are too many princes and princelings in it. So I said, Pilu also, Minu Masani, I knew them. So I didn't have occasion to meet Rajaji. But I knew all the Swatantra Party leadership then. They did ask me to, but I couldn't.
And if I know you, you've probably been writing other books.
Have I been in a wilderness? No.
Was it uncomfortable? Being
It
out of the party?
was uncomfortable because I was denied what I thought was my parliamentary due.
In fact, what your reaction was, let us listen to this reaction of yours on being...
I feel deeply troubled that my my earlier political party really took the decision to expel me on the basis of newspaper reports. You know, expel is a terrible word. You don't expel, even as cadets in the academy, when found unsuitable for further training, people are not expelled.
So, this word expelled appears to have...
But that is now past, that's over. Because both Advani ji and Nitin Gadkari.
Tell me something. Do you feel that you have, in a sense, recanted a little bit on Jinnah? Or have they recanted?
I don't think that's the question at all. Advani ji earlier...
You don't think Jinnah was the issue at all?
I don't think so at all.
Really?
No.
These were political games being played.
I don't know if it were games or
then
issues.
What is it? I mean, if it was not...
I really actually stopped reflecting on it. I haven't asked anybody.
Look, the world is full of very mean people. And your party has its own quota of very mean people. And your very senior leaders, your friends, colleagues with whom you sit, they said, well, listen, Saeed, Bhairav Singh Shekhawat is dead. And Rajnath Singh has now declined. The party needs a good Rajput.
I don't know. I don't know.
So you have filled that slot.
I don't know what slot I fit into. But you really asked me, what did I miss? I missed the opportunity of parliamentary intervention, which as an independent you don't have. Was it just, did I feel isolated? I did a lot of work. I'm currently working on 2 books. I also have been commissioned, and I have a syndicated international article which goes all over the world. So I've been fairly active. I've been lecturing
your books that you would...
Yes, I've been lecturing in the United States, UK, universities. I'm working on two books. One is a book on Rajaji, a person I think that we, particularly in North India, do not sufficiently reflect on. He's a man of remarkable prescience. He saw things not astrologically, but by the sharpness of his intellect and his ability. He, for example, is Gandhi called him.
You're talking about Raja Gopalachari.
That's right. Gandhi called him my conscience keeper. It's not a small thing. He has a viewpoint. He's expelled by the Congress, and yet look at the greatness of those times, and that's why I'm very touched by what Advani ji has done. The very same Rajaji becomes the first Governor General of India. It's the same Rajaji who becomes the Governor of Bengal. And then he becomes the Chief Minister of Madras. A remarkable personality. He had views, he disagreed. That is one book. The other is a book on Rajasthan, but it's a photography book. And it's really the two great...
It's Todd photographed.
No, not Todd so much as it's Rajesh Bedi, if you know. He has tried a new experiment, which is to photograph the unknown and unseen Rajasthan, not the palaces and forts and Maharajas and beautiful Maharanis alone. But there is so much more in Rajasthan which remains unseen. So a lot of
example, like one?
I'll give you examples. For example, do you see the desert, the beauty of the desert, or the wildlife that we have in the desert, or the Chambal as it flows through, or the great fort of Bundi. And he's done the photography on a balloon, through a balloon. So it's an eagle's view of Rajasthan. It's a book that is... the photography is his, theirs, the two brothers, and I write it.
The Bedi brothers and them.
That's right.
So from wildlife, you've taken them, their camera, yourself on focus on Rajasthan. That is the parochial Rajasthani Rajput in you.
Well, parochial, yes. Rajput, yes. I can't deny it. That's what I am.
Jaswant, you do not know how many friends you have. You may have enemies in the party, but you have friends in strange places.
Well, that reminds me what Churchill said. Churchill, it was pointed out to him, your opponents sit opposed, sit in front of you. He said, no. This is in the House of Commons. They are my political adversaries. My enemies sit behind me.
You know, I listened to what Hussein Haroon, the Pakistani ambassador to the United Nations, has to say about you. Listen to that. Talking of Jinnah, have you read Jaswant Singh's book on Jinnah?
And not only have I read it, I have an inscribed copy. Jaswant to me is one of the few bridges left between India and Pakistan. Let's hope we keep him there safe and sound, because we need people like this to create greater amity between Pakistan and India.
That is what. You must
Oh,
have
I
met
know.
him.
I have had the occasion, benefit of meeting him. He is very kind to say what he does.
But I believe that your entire tour of Pakistan with your book was in fact much more successful than your tour in India. How do you explain that?
I don't compare the two in any competitive sense. But I found my book launch in Pakistan. It was 3 cities, Karachi, Islamabad, Lahore. And really, it's not, I can only use words like overwhelming. And I'm chary of falling into the trap of superlatives, but I don't know how else to do it. Of course, and I'm not sure.
Did it surprise you? Did the affection that the people showered on you, the respect they gave you in Pakistan, did it surprise you?
No, not surprising me, it just astonished me, the extent of it. I have earlier been there. Perhaps you know, you don't know. General Musharraf very kindly had enabled me.
Allowed you to go overland?
Overland, which was memorable, because I crossed from Bardmer into Sindh, and I cannot describe to you how in that rural desert of Sindh, Tharparkar, village after village had trooped out, Hindus and Muslims, to stand by the road only to see me go by, because the ISI had forbidden me to stop and go and talk to anybody. They had tried to stop the people from coming. I have videos of that time. And so it wasn't that. It was not. This visit was cities, Karachi, Islamabad. This was a very
What
different.
does it tell you, therefore?
What?
What does this, your visit and the success, and what Hamid Haroon has to say, Hussain Haroon has to say about you, what does it tell you about
About me.
how to navigate Indo-Pak relations?
I don't know if I can individualize this issue. It would be arrogant of me to try and individualize it. The issue throws itself in our face. What Hussain very kindly says about me, flattering to hear these things. And he's very kind because I am overwhelmed by, of course, the hospitality. But the hospitality is not just the physical act of hospitality, it's the warmth that begins to exude from inside, that is not measured in terms of how many dishes are prepared at a meal. It's that warmth which I have experienced every time that I've gone to Pakistan, whether it is Balochistan.
Too much of red meat, bad for the cholesterol.
No, that's not at all that. There are vegetarians too in Pakistan. I have so many friends in Balochistan, so many. Whether it's Balochistan or Sindh or the Pathans of Pakistan.
How are you going to use this? He uses the word bridge. But you see, your party has an image, the party has by and large an image of being anti-Muslim. Not all of them. Atalji was not, for instance. He was an evolved RSS man. I don't see you in that garb. But then there are people. I mean, this whole question of...
Are there not in the Congress party such people? There are. It is the Congress party.
So are you saying that the Congress party and the BJP is Tweedledum and Tweedledee?
Perhaps in this, after all, it is the Congress party that created the partition of the land. Please don't forget, it was the Congress that used to be called pre-47, it was called the Hindu party. Now, I don't think we should go into those cliches.
Right.
You asked me what can I contribute. It was, after all, the BJP centered NDA which did what it did under Atalji's leadership. It is only that leadership that took the bus from to Lahore. And despite everything else that happened, we did every possible thing that was in our power. We went and we did.
I don't want to spoil this interview by going into Kargil at this point. After you, Uma Bharati, Govindacharya, Kalyan Singh, do you sort of pave the way for all of these people to come back into the fold?
I really don't know. I believe the party president, Nitin Gadkari, has said he would like to take back into the party. I do believe that Uma's re-entry into the party would be a very good thing. She would bring a great deal of energy and spirit. And she's, after all, far more...
She doesn't share your kind of secular views, does she?
I don't know why everybody should share my views or I should share my views with everyone.
This, if she comes back and others come back, it'll become like a patchwork party, won't it?
No, it'll be like a political party that India is. India's political parties, I say, have to represent the myriad political viewpoints and interests and sociological patterns that India is.
Jaswant, thank you very much indeed. Hope you are comfortable in the new party.
Party.
in the party again. And should you ever feel the need to depart, do let us know so we can scoop it on everybody else. Thank you very much.
Thank you.